dried his mustache and eased the bandana back inside his duster. Only this time, when his hand went inside the long frayed duster, he wrapped it around the bone-handled butt of the long-barreled Colt he carried in a shoulder harness under his left arm. From the west, thin raindrops blew in ahead of the storm and dotted his black duster sleeve. The wind strengthened. A few steps ahead of the other three riders, a man with a dark beard called out without stopping his horse, "Hello, the creek bank!" "Hello, the creek," Ellis called out in reply. Then he stood silent with a trace of polite smile on his face. Yet as he'd spoken, he'd swept his broad-brimmed flop hat from his head with his left hand in a gesture of courtesy, and held it down in front of him, using it to hide the big Colt as he slipped it from beneath his duster. A single larger raindrop blew in, this one landing coolly on his bare cheek. Wind licked at his hair. The bearded man didn't see Ellis's big Colt, yet something in the stranger's bearing instinctively caused him to stop his horse 15 feet away in the clear, rippling water. The other riders drew to a halt behind him. "We've been watching you the past 10 miles or so, mister," said the bearded man, without offering to introduce either himself or the other riders. As he spoke, he looked Ellis up and down. "I thought as much," Ellis said flatly. "Now what is it I can do for you?" From the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of lightning as it twisted in the distant blackness. Jerking his head back toward the three men behind him, the bearded man said, "Me and the boys here take wolves for bounty, but we're also what you might call gatekeepers for these parts." Without taking his eyes off Ellis, he gestured a hand taking in all of the northern mountain line. "From here on up, there will be no law to protect you. You'll do as you're told if you want to feel welcome up here." He spoke above the growing whir of wind. Ellis only stared in silence. From the blackness came the rumble of thunder. More thin raindrops slipped in and appeared silently on his duster sleeve. "Yeah," said one of the other three men, the only one without a rifle across his lap. "We're what you might call the welcoming party up here." He spread a nasty grin, and his hand rested on his pistol butt. "Shut up, Singer," the bearded man barked over his shoulder at him. "I'm the one doing the talking here." He leveled a harsh stare at Ellis and added, "We kill off wolves, keep away bummers, undesirables, engines, and whatnot. It costs us a lot of time and expense to do all that." "I bet it does," Ellis commented, quietly, keeping both his smile and his poise in place. The bearded man cocked his head slightly to one side and asked, "Do you understand what I'm getting at, mister?" "I believe I do," said Ellis, his eyes going from man to man, sizing them up, already knowing trouble was upon him. "I believe you're saying I owe you something for traveling through here. Call it a road tax, if you will, for providing safe traveling for pilgrims such as yourself." The man grinned and added, "I can see you do understand the ways of the world clear enough." "I understand all right," said Ellis. "Problem is, I allow no money for such expenses." The man shrugged as if not realizing what Ellis meant. "We can sympathize with a man being short on cash, times being such as they are." He eyed Ellis's horse and said, "We just lost our pack mule 2 days ago. I always say a good riding animal is just as good as legal tender when a man finds himself in a spot." "Funny, I always say that myself," said Ellis. His smile remained as he continued to stand in silence, leaving the man unsure of what to say or do next. Finally, the man cleared his throat and said, "So, if you have no cash, we'll be obliged to take the animal off your hands." "There he stands," said Ellis, giving a nod toward the big bay. "Take him whenever you're ready." But in spite of his invitation, the riders made no move forward. Studying the resolve in Ellis's cold gray eyes, the bearded man said, as if it had just dawned on him, "You've got..."